The AML/CFT compliance document is a formal document. You need to understand what this document is. Now, the first one is a formal document that outlines your organization for detecting and preventing money laundering and terrorism financing. Now, I came to understand about SCUML. A lot of persons have this certificate, they do the registration, but they forgot to understand that there is more to it. It's not about getting the certificate and hanging it on your office or keeping it on your file. But I'm here to tell you, okay, there are things you need to understand and there are things you need to know. And that's why this video is here for you. Understanding SCUML and AML/CFT compliance. Now, next slide. Now, we need to understand what is SCUML. Now, SCUML stands for Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering. And the next one is, it's a unit under the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, that is the EFCC. The next one is, it's established to monitor and regulate designated non-financial businesses and professions, that is the DNFBPs. The next one is, it ensures compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-financing of terrorism, that is the AML/CFT laws. Now, who must register? Who must register with SCUML? You need to understand. SCUML is not for everybody, but you need to understand who are the companies, who are those that are supposed to register for this. Now, the first one is all designated non-financial businesses and professions, that is the DNFBPs. Next one is, we have the NGOs, we have the foundations, we have faith-based organizations, that is church. The next one is real estate agencies. The next one is law firms. The next one is accountancy firms. The next one is consulting firms. The next one, we have dealers in luxury goods. In bracket, we have the cars, the jewelries, we have the arts, hospitality, casinos, game institutions. Why this SCUML is important? It is a legal requirement under Nigerian law. Now, you agree with me that it is a law. It's compulsory, required you to open and operate a corporate bank account. It's necessary for applying for grants, foreign donations, or public funds. It ensures transparency and credibility with partners. It protects your organization from legal or reputational risks. Now, what is AML/CFT? Now, this AML/CFT is very important. Remember, I told you initially in my introduction, I said it's not all about getting your SCUML. You need to get something more, and that thing is your AML/CFT. First, I'm going to tell you what they stands for, so that you know what it is. Now, the AML stands for anti-money laundering. The next one is the CFT stands for counter financing of terrorism. The next one is, the both refers to laws, regulations, and procedures intended to prevent criminals from disguising illegally obtained funds for NGOs. Now, remember, the reason why you're seeing NGOs here is because I'm using this NGO as a case study. It could be a company, it could be a church, etc. Now, for NGOs, this includes donors vetting, transactions monitoring, and financial reporting. Now, here is the real deal. AML/CFT compliance document. After getting your SCUML certificate, this document is the next you need to get. And that's why I said it's not all about you getting your SCUML certificate alone. You need to get the AML/CFT compliance document. which is very, very essential. The AML/CFT compliance document 1 is a formal document. You need to understand what this document is. Now, the first one is a formal document that outlines your organization's policy. A formal document that outlines your organization's policies for detecting and preventing money laundering and terrorism financing. I come again. It's a formal document that outlines your organization's policies for detecting and preventing money laundering and terrorism financing. The next one is, it includes sections on 1, donor due diligence, staff training, transaction monitoring, reporting suspicious activities, that is the STRS, record keeping and risk assessment. Next slide, please. SCUML registration requirements. You need to know this. You need to know this. First on the list is CAC certificate. It will be required of you. That is the incorporation document. The next one is tax identification numbers. That is your thing. AML/CFT compliance policy document. Remember what I said initially, the importance of this, and now you're seeing it here. Valid ID of trustees/directors, utility bill of business address, constitution for NGOs. Remember, I still say it again. The reason why you're saying this, it could be a company, it could be an NGO, it could be a church, etc. How to register with SCUML? First, you visit the SCUML portal or office. The next is you complete the registration from online or offline. Upload or submit required documents. The next is wait for vetting and certificate issuance. The next is note, registration is free of charge. Next slide. Now, role of a compliance officer. If you check before the slides, they talk about compliance officer. Now you need to understand the role of this compliance officer. Now the first on my list is it ensures the organization complies with AML/CFT policies. The next one is it vets donors and partners, that is your KYC. The next is it files suspicious transactions reports, that is the STRS. The next is it monitors financial inflows and disturbance. The next is it trains staffs and oversees internal audits. Now before I move to the next slide, I want you to understand something about this compliance officer. Now this compliance officer stands as an intermediary between your company and EFCC. You get it, your company, because he has an exposure, he has knowledge on this. So he train your staff because of his exposure. He train your staff, get them to understand what this AML/CFT compliance document, what it stands for, what it does, how to track all those fishiness when they notice something that is illegal going on. Now when this compliance officer trained that when they see such, they'll be able to identify, okay, this is it, and they will raise an alarm. Next slide, please. Now the final tips for NGOs and DNFBPs. Now remember, I keep saying this. The reason why you're seeing these NGOs, it could be a company, it could be a faith-based, it could be that's a church. Now, the first on my list is it keeps your AML/CFT policy updated annually. I come again. Keep your AML/CFT policy updated annually. The next on my list is always vet donors and foreign partners. The next is retain proper records for at least 5 years. The next is train your team on red flags and compliance. The next on my list is cooperate with regulators like SCUML, EFCC, and CAC. Thank you very much. See you in the next slide.